So what are some of the things that makes these more difficult to prosecute?
The biggest thing is the fact that you have to have that expert verify that there was a deviation from the standard of care. And that has to be done even before a lawsuit is filed. In South Carolina, there's a two-step process. You first have to file a notice of intent, and that has to be accompanied by an affidavit by the healthcare expert that says the target doctor or facility violated a standard of care. It's very difficult to find experts. The expert has to be qualified to testify against the other target healthcare provider. It's expensive. It's very expensive. The major difference in a malpractice case can typically cost, in terms of cost, anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000. Where a simple negligence case involving a motor vehicle accident, you don't have to have experts involved. It's pretty straightforward. So the most complicated part of a medical malpractice case is the involvement of the experts. They're an absolute necessity. You can't file a case unless you have the expert. So you got to go through the process of finding the expert. And I'll be honest, a lot of doctors are reluctant to testify against other doctors, especially in the same community. So most of the time when we have cases, my experts come from out of state, or at least far away from the same community in which we're prosecuting, because you have to find where there's no ties or anything.
Is that one of the hardest parts too?
It's also a harder part to find it, and then you got the things. I mean, I'll be honest. Currently, I'm handling some cases where my experts come from Florida. Sometimes we get them from Georgia. A little easier, at least they're close to South Carolina. But I also have one where the expert's up in Rhode Island.
You stay on the East Coast typically.
I mean, so sometimes, and depending on the specialty, it gets even harder. If you're doing a case that involves a neurosurgeon, for instance, there are very few neurosurgeon experts out there willing to testify. So extremely hard to find them. And then again, they becomes very expensive.
Not only expensive, but it sounds really difficult and complicated. There's a lot of processes that need to be done initially correctly to set the case up for success. So what is your advice to people listening how early should we get an attorney involved, and what can they do on their own?
Well, you need to be involved. I mean, medical malpractice is no different than any negligence case in terms of the statute of limitations, which is 3 years in South Carolina. So at the very earliest stage where you feel that you might have been harmed by a healthcare provider is the time to contact an attorney. It could take me up to 6 months to a year to evaluate a medical malpractice case, because I have to get all the medical records, I have to find the right experts and everything. So the statute of limitations clock is running. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't recognize the injury until later on. So the earlier you get an attorney involved, the better you're going to be for us to work up the case and get the proper evaluation done.